back. Get quiet. All right. Welcome, everyone. I'm going to call this meeting to order. It is 7 o'clock. Declaration of quorum. We have 7 members present. Welcome to this meeting of College Station Independent School District Board of Trustees. We were elected at large to represent the interests of our community and our state in educating our students. Our mission for our students in this district is success each life, each day, each hour. We adhere to all pertinent laws, policies, and procedures in posting agendas and conducting our meetings. The detailed agenda information was made available to us at least 3 business days in advance, and we have all come to this meeting informed and prepared. We have just completed a workshop session where we heard reports and discussed much of the information needed to make decisions in either this meeting or in upcoming meetings. This is a meeting of the 7 trustees in a public setting rather than a public meeting. As such, public comment is included on the agenda at a specific time and requires us to listen rather than take action so as to abide by the Open Meetings Act. We are pleased that you have taken time this evening to join us. We are very proud of this school district, and we thank you for your interest in and support of our students. That's going to move us to item C, our elections.
Thank you, Vice President Ege. Good evening, everybody. We will be administering the oath of office to our elected board members, and we'll start with our elected trustee for place 3, Mr. Chris Field. He is going to be ceremonially sworn in by his wife and his kiddos. Take it away, Field family.
You'll have to bear with me. I lost my voice about a week ago, so I'm doing the best I can. In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Chris Field, do solemnly swear that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 3
of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 3
of the state of Texas,
and
will do the best of my ability
to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
the
Constitution and laws of the United States and of this state. So help me God.
So help me God.
Next, in place 4, Mr. Mike Martindale, being sworn in by his wife, Alicia Martindale.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas, I, Mike Martindale,
I, Mike Martindale,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties
that I will faithfully execute the duties
of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 4
of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 4
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will, to the best of my ability,
and will, to the best of my ability,
preserve, protect, and defend
preserve, protect, and defend
the Constitution and laws
the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God.
And lastly, place 5, Kimberly McAdams, being ceremonially sworn in by her husband, Dan McAdams.
Go slow for me.
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
In the name and by the authority of the state of Texas,
I, Kimberly McAdams,
I, Kimberly McAdams,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 5
that I will faithfully execute the duties of the office of School Board Trustee, Place 5
of the state of Texas,
of the state of Texas,
and will do the best of my ability, and to the best of my ability, protect and defend the Constitution and laws
and will to the best of my ability preserve, protect, and defend the Constitution and laws
of the United States and of this state.
of the United States and of this state.
So help me God.
So help me God. We made it with our glasses.
All right, now we'd like to recognize our outgoing board members. First, we'd like to recognize from place 3, Mr. Joshua Ben. Mr. Ben was originally elected to the College Station ISD Board of Trustees in 2019 and then re-elected in 2022. He has served as board secretary and board vice president, and served in a capacity through some challenging times through the COVID era, hiring new superintendents, and we are incredibly grateful for the time, efforts, sacrifice, and service, and his expertise and his knowledge and all of the quips that he brought to our board meetings. And we're just incredibly grateful for the time that you've spent serving the staff, the students, and the community here in College Station ISD. So we do have a little token of gratitude from the administration and from your fellow trustees. So if you guys will please give a big warm round of applause for Joshua Ben. So we have a nice little, this one's from the board, a nice little memento cutting board and a plaque from the district to honor your years of
Very
service.
cool. Thank
So,
you.
Floor is yours if you'd like
Oh,
to say
okay.
it.
Yeah, sure. All right. So there's always been kind of a tradition at CSISD that the outgoing board members will say a few words, and I'll try to get through this as quickly as possible. I was watching Ted Lasso the other night, and he made the comment, we're finally catching up to it, that my hopes are as high as a giraffe's top hat. And that got me thinking about a speech/story I heard several years ago about giraffes and leadership. And I wanted to share this with the board and the administration. And each of you have in front of you a coaster with a giraffe on it. So you can either throw it away or keep it as a memento or whatever you want to do. But as y'all move forward over this next year and in the future, remember, obviously giraffes are the tallest animals on Earth, which gives them a broad view of their surroundings. It's their ability to see the bigger picture. And y'all are responsible for an organization of over 14,000 children, 2,000 employees, 19 schools, and numerous other facilities. You don't just represent one school. You don't just represent one constituency in our community. You represent the students, the teachers, the staff, and the taxpayers of College Station ISD. So as y'all move forward, I would just urge you to have a big picture mindset where you don't just get caught up on the latest social media outrage or the other day-to-day management issues that need addressing. Please don't allow those things to overshadow the big picture. School trustees are ordinary citizens, elected by other ordinary citizens to represent the public in the education process in Texas. It's a big job. It's a job that in the 6 years that I've been on the board has gotten even bigger. From school finance to COVID to pandemics, so forth and so on. It's a big job. And I would urge y'all as you move forward to keep in mind that as you do this, you're a team. And there's no room for ego, for grudges against each other. Y'all have got to move forward as a team for the benefit of our community. Giraffes are also, they're not afraid to stick their necks out when they see something good. In fact, like them, your first instinct should be to push forward, even if doing so seems inadvisable to others who can't see what you see or are privy to the information that you're entrusted with. And there'll be a lot of that. And these may be your coworkers, your friends, your family, folks on social media. It's going to happen, and it's going to happen a lot when there are things that are discussed in executive session. There are things that you can't share. Leaders like y'all need to understand the big picture and be willing to take on the risk to achieve it. And don't be afraid to stick out your neck to do the right thing, but also never forget that it's not about you. Despite all the challenges we face, you are a trustee, and all these people out here of one of the greatest organizations in our community. Obviously, I want to thank my wife, Melissa, the 5 kids that have gone through CSISD, for the time they've given up with me over the last 6 years. I also, and most importantly, want to thank the teachers, the bus drivers, the coaches, everyone else involved with College Station ISD. Y'all hear this all the time, and I don't know if you realize it, but the difference that you make in kids' lives and in our community. I started thinking about some of the coaches and teachers that I've had over the years, and I thought about Coach Harmeyer. He was my bus driver, and this might shock y'all, but apparently I had a tough time making it to the bus on time. But he would wait for me, and he had to, because otherwise I wasn't going to school. My dad worked in Bryan College Station. I grew up in Brenham, and I lived out in the country, and if I missed the bus, I was not going to school that day. And I started thinking about other teachers. The reason I wasn't going to school that day, my dad was in Bryan, and if I missed the bus, was because my mom was actually killed by a drunk driver when I was 7. I'll never forget, I probably had a moment like I'm having right now in elementary school. And it was a teacher that pulled me to the side, gave me a hug, and took care of me. And that's what y'all do. And we, the board, everybody else, we have to deal with, test scores and budgets and finances and so forth and so on. But when it comes down to it, that's what y'all do, is y'all take care of kids. Thought about Beth Parrish, my high school debate coach and theater teacher. She wanted me to go to, that's how big a nerd I am, wanted me to go to the debate camp one year and couldn't afford it. But somehow she put together a fundraiser, and actually, I think it was just her, sent me to debate camp. And that led to law school and all the other horrible things I've done. But I just want to thank y'all for the opportunity to serve y'all for the last 6 years. It's been an honor, and y'all just keep doing what you're doing and keep continuing to make CSISD one of the best school districts around. So thank y'all so much.
We'd like to recognize our outgoing trustee and our outgoing board president, Mr. Jeff Horak. Mr. Horak was originally elected to the Board of Trustees in 2019 and re-elected in 2022. He served as board president for the past 4 years, and like Mr. Ben, guided the district and provided leadership for our community through challenging times, changes, and on behalf of the school district and the community and our families here, thank you so much, Jeff, for your leadership and the time and the effort and the sacrifice that you have also given to this community. And we can't thank you enough for all that you have done, all of the hard conversations that have to have, and all the hard decisions that you've had to make over the years. So we also have a token of appreciation to you from your fellow Board of Trustees, a nice little cutting board and a plaque from the school district, but I'd just like to turn the microphone over to you, sir.
I usually ad lib, but this is something I didn't want to do that with. And I didn't use AI except to spell check. So, and it's ironic that Mr. Ben talked about giraffes because I'm going to talk about elephants. Not because I'm almost as big as one, because I have lost a little bit of weight, but elephants never forget. And I will never forget the last 6 years. So how do I summarize 6 years into a few minutes? The words that come to mind are passion, purpose, eventful, success, and moving forward. My sole reason for wanting to be a trustee was to be a resource for our school district and assist in any way that I could to guide our CSISD district forward. I'm proud to say that I feel like this goal has been accomplished. The opportunity to serve in this capacity has been a joy and a challenge at times. I never thought I would have worked for 3 superintendents during a 6-year tenure. The COVID event and many other obstacles have presented themselves over the years, but I always focused on what was best for our students and our teachers in navigating these times. One of the most significant obstacles was what direction CSISD should go when we conducted our 3rd superintendent search in roughly 3 years. The board in our district had to decide which direction to move forward, look within or look outside. After recommendation from the previous administration and the enormous amount of feedback we received from the community and teachers, we decided that it was best for CSISD to look outside for our next leader. Which brings me to today. We've made great strides as a public education school district in the state of Texas. Dr. Harkrider, along with the multitude of support staff, have evaluated and examined how our district function, inherited some items to address, and how our students are performing in all facets of being a learner. CSISD is now on a trajectory to be better than we have ever been and continues the vision of success for all students. Our administrators, teachers, and staff are doing amazing things for our students in a climate that is very much against public education. These folks will continue to make sure our district is a destination school district for all to model. CSISD is doing great things right here for our students and our teachers. I want to thank the trustees that I've worked with in the past and those that helped guide me as a trustee. Getting into this, you thought you knew what you knew, and you thought you knew everything about being a trustee, and very well was mistaken. That first December meeting in 19. We are entrusted with the success of our students, and y'all do not take that lightly. It is much appreciated by so many, even if we don't hear it a lot. Serving as a trustee is not about having an agenda or conforming to an agenda or a narrative. It is about making decisions that are best for student growth and outcomes. We gain as much information as we can to make those informed decisions to confirm that CSISD is doing better than the day before. The only way for CSISD to continue to flourish is if we all work together and not against each other. This is the only true way for success. We must stop being scared to do the right thing and continue to stand up for our students and ourselves. We all have a role in a student's life. As parents, we can't attack our teachers. They only want what is best for your child. As a teacher, we can't be satisfied with average student success. Education has changed, and we as parents and teachers must change with it. As administrators, we must continue to advocate for our staff and provide the best learning environment for the teachers and students. And as trustees, we have to take the best interests of all 14,000 plus students, all 2,000 plus employees, and all 19 campuses to heart. These are only my observations over the last 6 years. I can't thank everyone enough for just the opportunity to come back to CSISD, the place I graduated, and now I get to watch my kids do it. So now, I'm gonna go be a dad again on a more full-time basis. I've missed enough of their events. I even got to do third grade math test review last night. One of the best messages I received in the past few weeks was, I'm so proud of you. You gave your heart and soul to each person you talked to for the past 6 years. This is all I needed to hear to know I helped this district that helped me years ago. Thank y'all so much. I appreciate it.
That's going to bring us to item D, recognitions. I think we have some students from College Hills and Pebble Creek who are going to come up and help us.
All right. Good evening, guys. My name is Amanda Allen. I'm the proud principal at Pebble Creek Elementary, and I have two amazing fourth graders here that I'm going to let them introduce themselves and talk a little bit about them.
Good evening. My name is Taylor Crabtree, and I'm in fourth grade at Pebble Creek Elementary. I love to learn about reading. My favorite thing about Pebble Creek is the teachers. I'm thankful for the teachers and my friends.
Good evening. My name is Henry Dixon. I'm a fourth grader at Pebble Creek. My favorite thing to learn about is math. The best part about Pebble Creek is my teachers. I'm so thankful for my family and friends.
Hi, I'm Katie Allen, the proud principal at College Hills Elementary, and I have two students who are fighting over who doesn't have to go first right now. So I'll let them introduce themselves to you.
My name is Addison Robbins, and I am in third grade at College Hills Elementary.
What is your favorite thing about College Hills?
I like learning from our wonderful teachers.
My name is Vera, and I am in first grade at College Hills Elementary.
What do you like about our school?
I like Coda.
Tell them who that is. They don't know who that is. Who is?
It's a Turby dog.
And what else do you like your teachers?
My favorite thing. Nope.
You're thankful for. What are you thankful for?
I am thankful for my teachers.
We practice the awkward shuffle outside. That's why we're doing that. So, okay. So now you're going to say, please stand.
Please stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Oh, actually, we're going to stand here and say it.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Honor the Texas flag. I pledge allegiance to the Texas, one state, under God, one and indivisible.
You may.
You're perfect. Okay.
Thank you.
Stay right there. All right, we'll continue our student recognitions this evening as you're following along on your agenda with our state semifinalist tennis team from A&M Consolidated High School. So tonight we're proud to recognize the A&M Consolidated High School tennis team for an outstanding season and a remarkable run to the UIL state semifinals. The Tigers finished the season with an impressive 16-3 record and earned their place among the state's best. This year also marked a significant milestone for the program. This was their 10th state tournament appearance in school history. Reaching the state semifinals is a testament to the team's consistency, their competitive spirit, and the long-standing tradition of excellence at Consol. Under the direction of head coach Daniel Marshall, the team navigated a strong schedule with resilience, teamwork, and sportsmanship, representing A&M Consolidated and College Station ISD with pride at every step. Athletes, at this time, we'd like to invite you guys and Coach Marshall to come forward as I call your names. So if you'll come and you'll receive your certificate from Veronica and Dr. Harkreiter and shake the board members' hands and then stand over here off to the side. We're going to take a group picture when we're done. All right. Presley Kochenauer. Peyton Freeman. Anna Gao. Samuel Ju. Catherine Hamilton. Sarah Hildebrandt. Matthew Johnson. Caroline Kleeman. Ryan Kleeman. Nene Lee. JJ Lynch. Gabby Meacham. Rudy Rapp. Caleb Reisner. Reed Schulzler. Lily Strickland. Nate Trineri. George White. Ruby White. Sarah Weir. Who we got back there? Gavin Willis. Head coach Daniel Marshall. Your A&M Consolidated Tiger Tennis Team state semifinalists. All right, hey, can y'all look at me just one time and then your parents, okay? Here we go. Ready? 1, 2, 3. All right, stay right there. All right, we're also privileged to recognize the exceptional accomplishments of our state cross-country runners from A&M Consolidated and College Station High Schools. This season, they showcased remarkable grit and discipline, earning district titles, regional program finishes, and strong performances at the state meet. And Coach Branch is here from Consol, but I don't know if, do we have any of the Consol runners here? No, we didn't make it tonight. That's okay. We got lots of dual athletes in this district, and they're out playing basketball, I think, this week. But I do want to go ahead and recognize the girls team, and we'll give them a round of applause here in a second. But they earned their district championship this year. They finished second at region and finished 8th overall at the state meet. And they had a single medalist come out of state, and that was Rowan Skinner, who placed 5th. Overall, they also had one runner from the boys team qualify for state, and that was James Ellison, who placed 9th at region and 39th at state. So please, let's give Coach Branch and his runners a round of applause. And then from College Station High School, we had 3 Cougar runners who qualified for state after strong performances at the regional meet. We're proud of their dedication, hard work, as well as their competitive spirit for earning a spot among the state's top athletes and carrying Cougar pride with them to the competition's biggest stage. So athletes, as I call your name, y'all will come and be recognized. First, Justin Boatcalley. Camilo Riano. And Cindy Ramirez. And cross-country coach Josh Munson. All right. And last, we have our high school marching bands. A&M Consolidated and College Station High School marching bands competed in the UIL Class 5A marching band contest for the 4th consecutive time earlier this month, marking a successful end to the 2025 marching season. At the state contest, the Tiger Band placed 18th and the Mighty Cougar Band placed 26th in the preliminary round. Both bands qualified for the state contest back in 2021 and since then have ranked in the top 10% of Class 5A marching bands across Texas, which is an incredible accomplishment. We're immensely proud of the students and the directors for this accomplishment, and it wouldn't be possible without the unwavering support of their band boosters, parents, and the CSISD community. So please join me in congratulating our high school marching bands on another successful year. So drum majors and directors, if you'll please come and be recognized by the board as I call your name. From College Station, oh, there we go, sorry. We'll start with the College Station High School Mighty Cougar Band, drum major Isabella Visquera. Drum major Adriana Vargas. All right, Addison, help me with your last name here. Puszczowski, Addison Puszczowski. Katerina Humphreys. And the Mighty Cougar Band is led by John Seal, is the director, assistant director Michael Dixon, and assistant director Joseph Cohn. All right, and from the Tiger Band, drum major Juju Day. Sam Rhodes. Taylor Rutledge. Riley Brinkman. And the Tiger Band director, Mr. Steve Fry. And assistant directors, James Benton and Cole Crofton. All right, now we'll bring our elementary school principals back up to recognize their staff.
Do I need to do anything with it? How do I
Just
make
make
it?
sure it's
Awesome. Okay, so yes, I'm Amanda Allen at Pebble Creek, and I have Jordan Lawhoff with me. She is our assistant principal, and I have the great privilege of awkwardly scoot over. I have the great privilege of just appreciating our front office staff. So we have Abby Peavy, who is our secretary, and then Elaine Williams is our attendance clerk, and Kat Cross is our receptionist. And something unique about this team is they are all brand new to the office this year. You would never know it. And so just the appreciation of all the little things that the front office staff does that Jordan and I potentially forgot to tell them about. You know, like on the first day of school, how do you actually answer the phone when the classroom is calling? Or how do you get outside the office to the hallways? And so I just can't appreciate, or how do you say, I appreciate so much, even just any type of feedback we've had to give, they've just rolled with it. Their ability to build relationships with the community, students, parents has been amazing. Even down to we recently sent out a thank you form to our parents to write thank you notes, and the number of personalized thank you notes each one of these three ladies got from the family is just a testament to the relationships they're already building in such a short amount of time. Jordan and I could not do this job without you guys. We appreciate you guys, and we just love you so much. So we have a little acronym for your name for you. Hopefully you get the right bag. If not, you know, y'all can just switch it around, but just, you know, we love you so much. And as we say at Pebble Creek, it's always okay, love you, bye. So that is yeah, thank you for you guys.
All right. I have two people that I want to recognize. We have been talking to the students this month about gratitude. And so when I brought it to my guiding coalition, said, who are we going to bring to say thank you to them in front of you today? These were two of the ladies that came up over and over again. So I have Lindsay Dittmar, my assistant principal. Not only is she my assistant principal, partner in crime in everything. I could not do this without her. She is amazing. She came on as a new AP as I was a new principal. And so together we have formed a bond that will last forever. She is a great leader. She is awesome to families, students, the staff. So we cannot thank her enough for her service to our school and all that she does for us. So thank you very much. And we have Molly Talbot. She waltzed into my office last year and said, I think I want to be a teacher and I would like to be an assistant to learn how to do this. And so as I'm finishing up my program, I want to get my feet wet. And I said, come join us. And so we put her in kindergarten and she worked as an assistant. And then all year she told me, I'm going to be finished. I want to be a teacher. And so we brought her on as a first grade teacher. I knew she would be great, but I'm going to tell you, I thought she would struggle a little more than she has, because when she struggles, and it is hard to be a new teacher that first year, and she's tiny and she's cute. So all of that made it even harder, right? She goes to everyone on our campus and says, I'm struggling, can you help me? And that is something that is really, really hard for new teachers to do. And that, I think, is what is making her so successful, but she is loved by the staff, by her students, and by the parents. So thank you for all you do for us.
Yeah.
Not behind me. Good evening, everybody. My name is Chuck Longwell. I'm the driver supervisor at Transportation. With me is Shannon Cawthorpe, the director. And the two people we wanted to recognize as Employees of the Month for Transportation. It is with great pleasure that we recognize Kotisha Mack and Jessica Hampton as our Employees of the Month. Both exemplify the dedication, professionalism, and positive spirit that makes our transportation department exceptional. A little bit about Kotisha. Over the past 4 years with our transportation team, Kotisha has consistently demonstrated an unwavering commitment to both her role and the students she serves. Her reliability is unmatched. She is someone our team can always count on day in and day out. What truly sets Kotisha apart is her remarkable demeanor. She greets every day, every colleague, and every challenge with a genuine smile and positive attitude. Her calm, cool, and collected approach when working with her students creates a safe and reassuring environment that puts both children and parents at ease. Kotisha has built strong, trusting relationships with the parents of her students, maintaining excellent rapport through her consistent communication and caring nature. Parents know their children are in capable, compassionate hands when Kotisha is behind the wheel. Kotisha embodies what it means to be a team player. She is always willing to help wherever needed, never hesitating when asked to take on additional responsibilities. Her coworkers know they can rely on her support, and she consistently goes above and beyond to ensure the success of our entire transportation team. Miss Jessica Hampton. Jessica Hampton has been an invaluable cornerstone of our transportation department for an impressive 15 years. And she hasn't thrown me out the wall yet. Her longstanding commitment to our team and the students we serve reflects a level of dedication that is truly remarkable. Over a decade and a half, Jessica has consistently demonstrated the professionalism, expertise, and reliability that define excellence in our field. Her experience and institutional knowledge make her an essential resource for our department, and her continued service is a testament to her passion for what she does. Kotisha Mack and Jessica Hampton represent the very best of our organization. Their positive attitudes, dependability, and genuine care for students, parents, and colleagues alike make them invaluable members of our team. We are honored to recognize their outstanding contributions and grateful for their continued dedication. So you're each going to get a certificate and a gift card provided by the Education Foundation and E3. Congratulations.
All right, I would also like to draw your attention to the artwork in the back of the boardroom that is provided by students at College Hills Elementary and Pebble Creek Elementary. And I know that I'm always sort of amazed what even our youngest learners do. So take a look at that artwork as you leave tonight. That's going to move us to item E1, which is our board reports. I can jump in and just say that we had the audit committee meeting at 4 o'clock this afternoon, and you're going to hear more from the auditor later, but we got to meet and hear that report a little bit ahead of time, so.
I can talk on Education Foundation, hence no voice. We had Grant Patrol today. It was super successful. We hit this goal of 3 million overall, which is huge. We handed out 94 grants, and they totaled $354,720. All 19 campuses received teaching grants, so we're super pumped for all those teachers who were eager beavers. Also, if you're considering honoring CSISD teacher or staff member, the STAR Education Program is opening. It's a minimum of $10 donation for Education Foundation, and you'll get an honorary, a certificate, a STAR Educator pin, and recognition on the website and social media. So,
I guess I'll do two. Dr. Payne and I attended DEIC again this month, and it's really kind of a repeat. Well, actually, we got some new stuff this time. We got a summary of a lot of the new courses that we're going to be seeing, a lot of them because of the new CT Center and things that, new classes that we're going to be able to offer because of that. And of course, DEIC then approves those, and now those are on our agenda to approve tonight. And then the other thing, of course, we talked about, again, was calendar. Had some good discussions about we actually got to see some calendar options, talked about ways to narrow those down. We get one more month in December to look at that from DIC, and then the understanding is then those options will come to the board in December before we put those out to our community to vote on. So that's where we are with that, I think. And then just yesterday was intergovernmental, and last month it was the Bryan Economic Development, and then this month it was our College Station Economic Development Representative. And, you know, as most of you know, a lot of the differences is that Bryan is bringing in some manufacturing, College Station is more of, you know, retail growth and still some construction growth, particularly with a lot of college residences. And so there was some discussion about how, though all those new college residences, will they at some point free up some other houses throughout our community that may, because I think we discussed, and I think some of us are aware of this, the housing prices in this town are one of the things that is probably attributing to us our reduction in our growth, right? Because it's harder to have new young families, or it's harder for them to find a place to live in this community. So there was some of that discussion. But I think just in general, though, lots of growth in this community, both from the college age side and then of the retirements, but missing some of that middle place where they would come into our schools. So, but lots of good things happening. I don't know if you want to add anything to that, Dr. Hartgrader. Okay.
Any other board reports? Okay, Dr. Harkrider.
Yes, ma'am. We've got to recognize some outstanding students today and a couple other teams I want to draw attention to. Football teams that consolidated in College Station High School both won the first round playoff games last week. They both have second round playoff matches on Friday. Saturday, something that doesn't happen very often. We have Consol volleyball team is playing for the state championship at 11 a.m. Saturday morning in Garland. So if you're up for a road trip, head north Saturday morning. Excited about the opportunity for those young ladies. And also a big congratulations, College Station High School volleyball team, for another outstanding season. They made it to the fourth round this year. So extremely proud of both of those teams. Friday is a teacher workday, student holiday, which leads us right into Thanksgiving holidays, November 24th through the 28th.
All right, we're going to move to item F, which is hearing of citizens. We do not have anyone registered to speak at this meeting. That's going to move us to item G, the consent agenda. On the consent agenda, we have item H, J2 through J5, and K3 through K10.
Motion to approve as presented.
Second. I have a motion and a second. Do we have any discussion?
Yeah, can I get J2 moved off of consent so we can discuss it?
J2,
Yeah, sorry, it would be J3.
J3.
Yes, thank you.
J2.
J2 and J3. Okay, we're going to move J2 and J3 to when they come in that part of the agenda. And our consent agenda will now be item H, item J4 through J5, and items K3 through K10. Does that sound right? All right, can I have a motion?
Motion to approve is presented.
Second. Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Simmon. All in favor, say aye, and we do need to raise our hands. Aye. Any opposed? Okay, the consent agenda passes 7-0. All right, that's going to move us to item I1, which is consideration, discussion, and possible action related to new middle and high school course approvals for the 26 to 27 school year.
Technical difficulty. Good evening, board members. Dr. Harkrider. While they're pulling it up on the presentation, I'll go ahead and start. I have the privilege tonight to bring you the final stages of some CTE courses like we do every year. These courses start out in our campus committees. They go through their leadership teams, they get voted on, and then we take them to DIC. We did that at the last DIC meeting. We presented to DIC, and then from there, they approved them. So this is our final step to bring them to you. And I want to just kind of give you some highlights of it and go through it. And this is probably the best way to show the whole picture. Not all these are new, but with the CTE Center coming aboard, there's going to be some questions, and I can probably answer them all at the same time as we go through this. And of course, at the end of this presentation, I'll answer any questions, and then I'll ask, hopefully, you guys will approve this, and we'll put it into our course guide. The first thing is ag mechanics. We already do this at A&M Consolidated. We will move this out to our upper level, out to the new CTE Center. But if you look at the very bottom, that's the biggest thing I want you to see is it is no longer a CTE transfer program. For those of you that are not familiar with the district, over the many years, we've had a lot of CTE programs that you would transfer one mascot to another for. We're very thankful that we're able to now offer this where our kids can stay home at both College Station High School and at Consol. There is no new classes on that one. The next one is a really simple change. We've been offering Build Tech for a while. Build Tech is really, if you read the TEKS, it's really towards facilities maintenance, which is a great program. But our kids want a little more framing, a little more electrical, a little more plumbing. The best thing that we can do is change that course from Build Tech into construction technology. That gives us a little more freedom to do some hands-on stuff with that. And if you look at the very bottom of that, it also says this is no longer a CTE transfer program. So that's a great win for our district as well. The next one is a brand new thing that we will be doing at our CTE Center is our automotive programs. For those that don't know, we've been busing kids to Bryan ISD for the last 5 years so they could go ahead and take those automotive courses. So we don't have any new courses because those were adopted years ago. But if you look at the very bottom, we do need to add the practicum and transportation system. And you'll notice that everything will be housed out at the CTE Center. This is our welding. We're very excited that we will have welding in our district as well, just like automotive. We have been busing those kids to Bryan ISD. Because of our new CTE Center, we're going to be able to teach those kids in-house. We don't have really any new courses because we've been doing this for many years. But again, just wanted to let you know this is a change of location. We'll no longer have to bus to Bryan. We will teach them out at the CTE Center.
This one is brand new to us. Very excited about this. This is the #1 request I've had from principals and counselors since the minute I have worked here. Everything I'm asking today is new. We have not bused kids anywhere for cosmetology. There are a lot of different courses, and let me explain why. And the other thing is, let me back up, on the CTE Center, this is a sophomore through senior program. We'll bus kids out there, they can drive just like we're currently doing with Brian C-Tech. What's important about this is cosmetology, for their Texas Department of License Regulation, they do have to get 1,000 clocked in hours. If you do the math at 177 school days and a double block, triple block, you are pushing the limits at perfect attendance to make sure you get this. So it's very important that these are 2 and 3 block courses. That's why you'll see 2 and 3 period. We also have not hired yet. So we need to make sure that we have kind of a handful of courses that, depending on that teacher that comes in, you'll notice at the bottom where it starts talking about nail care, enhancement, spa services and all that, aesthetics. We need to make sure that we have those on the books, because that teacher may come in with that background and we don't want to delay our kids learning another year to bring this to another formal thing. So we're very excited about that one. A couple of quick things at College View. We're excited about this. We need to continue to do what we can to enhance College View. So Animation 1, Animation 2, Practicum and Animation, those have been taught many, many years ago, kind of bringing some of those out. But the big one is that digital art and animation. We're really excited about that. We have a lot of kids interested in it. It's pretty straightforward. And then over at both Consol and at CSHS, our video game design, we need to also add that digital art and animation. If you'll look in the parentheses, it's very important. It does count as an art credit. That's a really good thing. So a kid will get the CTE credit and the art credit. We visited, of course, with Mr. Eeks before doing this. It helps out the art teachers' overflow and different things. These are things that we will absorb with our teachers. We're not putting this on one of fine arts teachers. And then over at Consol, we do teach cybersecurity, and we need to do a couple of tweaks to stay with the times. Digital forensics has gotten really popular, and kids are asking for it, teachers asking for it. We want to abide by that, as well as that foundations of cybersecurity. I don't think anybody can argue with cybersecurity is upon us, so we want to make sure that we're keeping up with our coursework in the times. That is my presentation, short and sweet. If there's no questions, I'd love to answer them. I know they're all staring at me like, Kevin, don't go too long. But if not, we would love to get this formalized.
Do you guys have questions?
I just want to say thank you. This is such an incredibly important part of education in 2025. So thank you for everything you do and your team.
Motion approved as presented.
Second. I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Simmon. All in favor, say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 7-0.
Thank you.
All right, so that's going to bring us to item J1, which is an update on Thought Exchange.
Yes, thank you, Vice President Iggy, members of the board. Bringing you just a quick report and an update on where the school district is on gathering stakeholder feedback. Kind of a fancy way to say how we survey people, right? So we have entered into a contract, a partnership with a company by the name of Thought Exchange. You've probably seen it already. We've been surveying our staff over the past several weeks. You saw earlier in the workshop with Ms. Wilson putting out an exchange. We've also used exchanges in our DEIC committee as a part of our academic calendar process. So I'm going to work through these several slides fairly quickly because I really want to spend the most time showing you what this product looks like for the user, and then also what it looks like for us on the district side. Because I think it's important, if we're asking people to be transparent and honest with us, then we need to be transparent and honest with our stakeholders. So they need to see kind of what we are seeing on the back end of it and how we're analyzing their feedback. So I just want to center the conversation here and let everybody know that, the strategic plan that was developed in 2021 is still ongoing, and this is a continuation of that. And so these bullet points here are pulled directly from our core beliefs and shared commitments that were outlined by our community in 2021, promoting community engagement, recognizing the diverse perspective of others, demonstrating mutual respect, encouraging and strengthening communication, fostering student voice, and using technology to enrich educational experiences. These core beliefs and our shared commitments are kind of what grounds us in this work. And that's intentional because this is something that me and my team, Melanie Ward, our community engagement coordinator, we talk about this platform on a regular basis, nearly every day, about how we're going to use it and how it's going to be utilized, and we center ourselves on this. Just a brief history on stakeholder feedback in CSISD, kind of why we're using Thought Exchange over another platform. Just quick 5-year history. The district used Panorama Education starting in 2020 through about 2023. Is kind of instrumental in providing us with some guidance and stakeholder feedback through COVID, as well as developing the strategic plan, and then set up a normal rhythm of stakeholder surveys each semester through asking questions of staff, students, and families. We took a gap year with our survey platform and didn't renew in 24. And we started using just some in-house products. We're a Google district, so we heavily rely on Google Forms. We had developed a new website through Finalsite, so we're using their survey platform. Our technology department is incredible. Kelly Derrick does an amazing job of creating in-house surveys. And then we also did just some kind of grassroots listening session survey type of visits to our campuses last spring, visited all 19 campuses in the spring of 2025. So that kind of leads us to where we are right now. At the end of last school year, we sat down kind of as a cabinet group. Dr. Harkrider and I had several conversations about identifying priorities for continuing to get feedback from our stakeholders in a meaningful way. And so we kind of talked through some of these priorities: transparency through the process, publishing results, taking actionable steps, understanding what people think and feel, but also why. And so that was a big part of it. It's great for us to be able to have people rank how they feel on a 5-scale rating. But if we don't understand why they chose that 1 to 5, then we're just making an assumption. And so we have to be able to dig a little bit deeper into that. We also were looking for some kind of platform that was going to give us some flexibility to do more than just one survey a semester. It's hard to remember how you think and feel from August to December and from January to May. And so we wanted to be able to kind of change the culture of feedback in the district and use a platform more regularly. It's also really important for us, one of the things that we recognized as we were having a gap year and using a third party was that, anytime we're looking at open-ended feedback, we're people, we're humans, and it's not just me or Melanie or Dr. Harkrider or anybody else. Like, we all have bias, and so we wanted to remove that and use a third party that was going to interpret the data in a meaningful way for us as well. It's also important for us when we're spending money in the district to understand how we measure the benefit of the tool that we purchased. I think it's great for us to be able to say, yeah, we're going to do a survey once a semester and gauge how much we improve on different topics. And that is a definite benefit to the culture and the climate of our school district. But is there a way for these tools to pay for themselves? And we'll kind of get into that. We talked a little bit about in the budget workshop, and we'll talk about how this can be used to help develop some of those strategies. And then really the biggest challenge that we're facing right now is understanding, why is enrollment declining in College Station? How are we going to be impacted by vouchers? How can we address absenteeism and recruitment and retention? And so from those priorities, we started having some initial conversations with a few companies looking back at our Panorama data and what those contracts looked like. So we started with Thought Exchange. Dr. Harkrider and I both had some experience, at least tangentially, with Thought Exchange, and we're aware of it. So we wanted to have an introductory meeting with them. We had an introductory meeting with Qualtrics, which is another survey platform. And shortly after those conversations, we felt like Thought Exchange was going to be the best survey platform for us to use. So throughout the summer, we started having several discussions with them, kicked off our partnership with them in late September, early October. and then launched our first staff success survey, which is basically a perception survey for our staff members. And that ran from November 3rd through November 17th. And we are reviewing the results of that and the reports with our Thought Exchange partners on Thursday afternoon. So Thought Exchange, you've probably already seen. It has basically two functionalities. It's got a classic survey. This is kind of the traditional survey platform that you would see, ranking questions, collecting opinion-based data, and then Exchange. So the exchanges are the unique thing with Thought Exchange that we felt like was going to give us a lot of flexibility. And it's basically answering an open-ended question that you can rate other people's responses on. And we're going to show you what that looks like here in just a second if you haven't seen it. Our strategy using these two engagement platforms is really kind of broken down into two sections. We want to gauge stakeholder experience, and then we also want to involve our stakeholders more in our decision making. So you can kind of see on the left side, our strategy there with our once a semester surveys is to do a big broad survey where we ask a bunch of questions and then pare it down to topical exchanges so we can keep the conversation going and get more specific. And then on the other side of stakeholder experience, we want to address things like chronic absenteeism, ask parents, why are your kids not coming to school? Ask teachers, what do you hear about kids not coming to school? So that we can understand that and then develop better relationships with our families to help them to understand the importance of coming to school and how we can support them through that. Thought Exchange also developed a new enter and exit survey interview platform that we're going to start beta testing with them in the spring. And then through all of this, we're going to be using this feedback to understand why people choose College Station ISD and using that information as our community's voice as we market our school district going forward. As far as decision making, we're using exchanges to get feedback on things like our academic calendar, our budget, professional learning, parent engagement, the communication tools that we have across the district, and how we plan our initiatives and programs. So really quick, if you've got your phone, scan that QR code, and I want to show you what it looks like. Audience, if you're watching on YouTube, you can see that. I want y'all to participate in this question. Think back to your time in school and tell us what your favorite food in the cafeteria used to be. All right, looks like I've got everybody's heads in their phones. I'm going to switch over and I'm going to show you here. So this is the user experience side. So this is an exchange and we're just asking one question. We're not asking any demographic information. We're not asking for what school you're at, what your email address is, what your name is. We're just asking for the substance of what you think and feel, right? So you're going to click through some of these things and you can see some of the thoughts that have already been shared. Things like chicken nuggets because it's a classic, or steamed veggies because broccoli is my favorite, or pink milk because it's fun, cheese pizza because it ain't easy being cheesy, and an apple a day to keep the doctor away, right? And then I wrote all of those last night, so so you can.
Is that why you read them all?
Yeah. The great thing about the exchanges is that it's not just one answer. So if it's like, I've got lots of answers, got lots of feedback, budget priorities that we just shared. If you've got lots of priorities that you want to consider, great. You can use it as much as you want. And then when you're done, you get to see other people's responses. So if chicken nuggets resonates with me because it's a classic, great. I'm going to go 4 stars. Pizza, not my favorite. Tacos are consistently good. I agree with that. Frito pie, also very good. Chicken fried steak, mashed potatoes, and gravy because it was filling. Trying to trim down a little bit. Salisbury steak. So you gotta get the gist here. The last piece of this is, it's like, yeah, great. I get to see everybody's thoughts and I get to rate them. Okay, well, the transparency side of this is that it shows you the data in real time. And so you get to see all the topics. You get to see everybody's thoughts. and you get to see what you put in there. So you can scroll through this as much as you want. We're going to leave this open. You can kind of see what the usability of it is. The reason why we chose that is primarily because it doesn't just provide us with feedback based on the volume of responses on one topic. It gives us a collective agreement based on other people's thoughts. So for instance, if I said that chicken nuggets are my favorite and so did 20 other people, well, the algorithm that exists in Thought Exchange is going to recognize what I put and what 20 other people put in there. And it's also going to recognize that only one person put steamed veggies. So it's actually going to show steamed veggies to more people because it wants to get the opinion of everyone based on everyone's voices. So rather than pushing down the things that people say less, it actually pushes up every single individual voice. And so that's what we wanted to see. We wanted to see not just what's the loudest voice, what are people saying that participate in these surveys the most. No, we want everyone to be able to have a chance to have their voice to be heard. And that's what the great thing about Thought Exchange does for us. Provides transparency on the front end and then transparency on the back end. So I want to show you what that looks like for us on the back end of this. So if we look at the results of what's your favorite cafeteria food, it's going to give me an AI summary, right? So this is what kind of removes the bias. So if I'm just looking at all the responses, I can be like, well, it seems like chicken nuggets are their favorite, but pepperoni pizza is like a 4.8 rating. So, but it gives me a summary based on what people wrote. So it says responses highlight a variety of cafeteria favorites, including Big Daddy's pepperoni pizza, steamed veggies, particularly for broccoli, preferred by some. Pink milk is favored for its playful aspect. And then you can kind of get into that. The great part about this AI too is like, if you're using AI like ChatGPT, it's using the whole internet to learn about you. It uses your data so that it can help other people to learn about their ChatGPT. This is all localized. So it's only using our data. So it's only using things that we say. And then anytime someone shares something that may be too personal, it flags it and we can shut it off. So we can shut off if someone says something specific about their student, something about their personal life that may be too personal for other people to see, and it won't show it unless an admin says, yes, that can be shown. I probably had about 20 on just our DEIC calendar stuff. It flags things very sensitively, so it's great. So that's kind of the back end. There's a lot of other tools. You'll see the reports when we release the results of our staff survey, but it's a great and robust tool that's giving us a lot of resources to be able to tackle some challenges and have continual conversations with our community. Now, big questions here that come up. Privacy. How is what I'm sharing going to be private? How is my data going to be protected? And then, do you know what I'm saying? Are my responses connected to who I am? Those are questions that we have heard over the past several years about anonymity versus confidentiality. These are not College Station ISD's definitions. These are Thought Exchange's definitions. So we are able to use this product in basically two ways, but I want to talk about privacy. So just like any other platform, they've agreed to things like FERPA and the Student Privacy Pledge to make sure that any student data that's shared is localized. They also go further to say that if a user or participant were to share something that they want removed from the platform, we can do that. Basically, the data is not Thought Exchanges or CSISDs, it's the individuals. So that's on the data side. Now, when you are a participant filling out this survey, we only have two options as a district to select whether or not we're going to run an anonymous survey. And that basically means your information is not connected to your responses in any way. So we're not asking for your email address or your name, but there's a possibility of inference because we did just run a staff survey. And in order for us to understand the experience of people across campuses and grade levels and roles, we did ask for some demographic information, like what campus you work at and what's your role. But we're also recognizing the fact that an elementary school only has one nurse and only one principal and one AP. And so in order to provide people with a comfortable experience, we added an option for other, or we'll add a not applicable. But there's always a caveat to that. If you share something with the school district and it's not specific to your role, or your campus, then that information does help us understand perception district-wide, but it's not tied to anything specific. And so if you share something specific about your experience and it's not tied to a campus or it's not tied to a role, then there's not really a way for us to target any actionable support for that. And I want to be careful when I use words like target or anything like that, because the idea is not to identify those specific things. I can tell you, Melanie and I have looked through how this platform is going to be used, and it takes about 10 different clicks to even try to figure out what roles or campuses are saying what. Because in reality, as the district, we're looking at how does this reflect upon the leadership that we're providing? How does it reflect upon the support that we're giving to our campuses, right? And then as we roll this out to our campuses, we're going to be giving them the same level of resources that we want our staff to feel comfortable. And so, again, these are thought exchanges definitions. We don't have any use cases for confidentiality right now because that ties individuals' names and email addresses to the responses. And we want to keep things fair and easy for people to use. So how are we going to use this feedback? So we're going to gather feedback from our stakeholders. We're going to review that analysis. So we're going to do that for the first time for a survey on Thursday with Thought Exchange. And then we're going to use Thought Exchange's reports to publish those publicly to our website. Okay? That's an important part, because if our community can't see what our staff feels or parents feel or students feel, then then there's not that level of transparency. We ask them to be transparent. We also have to be transparent. It's their voice. So we're gonna publish that in a way that is reasonable for us to do. So again, we're not gonna be identifying any specific campuses or roles in that aggregate report. It's gonna be district-wide. And then a part of that publishing of results, we're going to identify action items, and we're going to start taking action. So a lot of that action initially is going to be asking more questions. Rather than just going based off of a percentage point that says, we improved from 75% to 80%, we need to dig into why did that grow or why did that dip? Why are we improving or why are we not improving? So that's the use for this platform. So you can kind of see our next steps. We've got several things in the queue, including attendance and chronic absentee exchanges, onboarding exit interviews like we talked about, and then rolling this out to our campuses and departments for use in collaboration with the communications department in the spring. Any questions?
So I know in the past, a lot of surveys have gone out like to parents through email. So is that still, I'm seeing a QR code here in a meeting that obviously you can do, but are you still going to be sending these out? Like, how is this going to get out to parents and community members?
So our first use case was with our staff, and we sent them an open link. So it was just, here's the staff survey and here's the link. We'll be sending it out via email and text message to our parents. And then we're going to work directly with the campuses when we get ready for a student survey. This will also be posted on social media as well.
Do we have a limit to the number we can use, or can a campus, will they have the ability to send out their own personal surveys?
Yes, there's not currently a limit right now. The only limitation that we have is some of their products are in beta. And so we try not to overextend ourselves in trying to understand a product that we're not an expert in. And so we'll make sure that we integrate that process with Thought Exchange if they want to develop something that's more advanced than what Melanie and I can help with.
Pretty much want to just say thank you. I think feedback is important for anybody and any organization that wants to, get better. And this is an interesting new way to do it, but I think I love some of the things you mentioned about some of those key things you highlighted in the strategic plan that it really helps meet some of those goals, I hope, but also that, like you keep saying, focusing on the why some people feel waste, because that's the only way we can help make decisions to make things better. So I really appreciate that. And some of the helping us with decision making too, getting input. So lots of positives. So thank you for sharing it with us. I didn't know so much was going on for way back in June, but it was nice to see it coming out. And I hope our staff and our community help us utilize it to provide feedback. So thank you.
Do you have early numbers back on the staff success, just the percent who participated?
I don't have a percent, but I have a number. We were around 680 total respondents, which means they started the survey, and we were close to 400 who completed.
Out of roughly 2,000, is that right? Or
So this was just campus-based.
Okay.
So this was if you have an email address that's attached to a school, then you got the survey. I think our guesstimate was 1,200 or so. I don't know how many.
So about a third.
Yeah.
So this, I'm sorry.
So 400 out of 1,000 finished it.
Right. So
Yeah.
Usable.
Oh, they did some. They didn't just like put their name.
Correct.
Got it.
Whatever they completed is still useful data.
Perfect.
Yeah.
That's great. Thank you.
So security parameters on this, and I'm familiar with Thought Exchange and Qualtrics. So a survey is limited one-to-one to an ISD email account. In other words, could on the staff survey, the link be forwarded and someone else complete the email, or is it limited to one submission per a CSISD account?
Yeah. So we had that option to link everybody's email accounts to Thought Exchange. We opted not to do that for a couple reasons. One, it would have slowed our process to be able to launch this product and start using it feasibly as quickly as we started paying for it. Would have put our lead time a little bit back so that we may have missed being able to survey people this semester. The other part of it is that the perception of folks' email addresses being connected to a platform. I'm getting an email directly from this platform, therefore you know who I am. We wanted to remove that perception. So yes, it is open. So feasibly, yeah, a staff member could share that link with somebody else, and that may skew our data a little bit, but it would be anecdotal, hopefully. And we'll play around with it and see what the best use case is for it. But right now, we're not going to be connecting our district email addresses to that platform for those reasons.
So, which I understand the reasoning, and I don't disagree with it. I guess my question as to how do you then manage repeat submissions and/or ensuring the submissions are coming from faculty and staff that it was distributed to? I'll be perfectly candid with you. Obviously, my wife is a staff member, and I could access the staff survey from my Gmail account. So my question is how do we ensure the validity of the results when it's so open-ended, so to speak? Because, I mean, to me, that could be manipulated.
Manipulated by the respondents, you're saying?
Well, maybe it's not all staff or staff are submitting multiple times, whatever the case may be. It doesn't seem like it would capture it, yeah, anyway.
Yeah, we'll review the results to see if we feel like that were to happen. Right now, we want to build trust with the product, and we want to make sure that our staff does feel safe in this process. And we had several conversations about whether or not Thought Exchange was going to get access to our email addresses initially. And that was just the decision that we made, and we weighed both of those options. And I recognize what you're saying as far as understanding whether or not that data is fair, true, real, or not. But, that's on the respondent side of things.
Sure, just something to contemplate. And secondly, is it a bank of questions? I assume the district can write the questions that they want asked. Is that correct? It's not limited to a bank produced by Thought Exchange.
Yeah. We did work with Dr. Ann Skelter with Thought Exchange, who helped develop our initial questions for our staff survey. She's kind of their resident expert, just like any other platform would have. So they did provide us with a template that we refined over the course of a couple weeks and landed on what we landed on. But as far as the exchanges and future surveys, we can customize it as much as we want to. Really, the main part that we work with Thought Exchange on is the functionality part, technical part of things.
So in future surveys, when we ask faculty and staff for feedback or to respond on the Likert scale, we could ask, are distinguished between district administration and campus administration on separate questions,
That's a great
correct?
point. Our preliminary data was able to distinguish that simply based on people's open-ended questions, but we recognize that that needs to be a differentiator for folks to be able to say, I have certain opinions about my boss and I have certain opinions about their boss.
Okay, thank you. I think it's a wonderful product. Just-
So to that point, it just makes me wonder, when we were sending out surveys before, did we have the ability to limit people to only one answer at that point? Like if I as a parent got the calendar survey before, could I have gone in and answered 3 or 4 times?
Well, the calendar survey, I'm not exactly sure. That was, I think, was developed in-house. But if you're talking about using Panorama,
I'm just trying to figure out how this issue compares to other survey platforms we've used. Is it unique to this, or has that always been the case?
No, I think it's a choice. So usually they'll provide you with either the option to create just an open link not connected to people's identities, or you can connect it to people's identities, and so that it limits just one survey response. We would hope that our staff, families, students, that they would see that we are being earnest and honest and transparent through this process, and that they would have mutual respect for us when it comes to using the platform, and that they would just respond one time and be fair with it. Yeah.
One thing to consider when you do research is if you get anyone to respond, it's a good thing because most of them don't. So anything over 10% is astronomically successful in most cases. I can't imagine that. I'm sure some may have an agenda to do it over and over again, but that's a big time suck that I don't think most people would want to do.
Our feedback from current employees were past survey instruments that were used tied to their email addresses they were not fans of. Yes.
That's the trade-off, right? Yeah. One just quick question. Is this an annual fee that we would pay to continue this? Okay, so we've got 1 year going and then we'll see how it.
We did sign a 2-year contract
2-year, okay,
because we
thank
felt like getting involved at this point, especially with us wanting to have an impact on attendance, vouchers, all the things, we needed to have a 2-year look to see if it's viable and feasible for us. It was a price break by doing it that way.
Other questions? Thank you, Mr. Dunson, for working on this. I appreciate that we are making some strides to try to get some good survey results, and I would hope that our community would hear that and would give you guys some good responses. All right, we're going to move then to item J2, which is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of recommended amendments to the District of Innovation Plan.
J2 is tied to J3, so we need to
Okay.
discuss J3 first.
Okay, so let's talk about J3, which is consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding changes to board policy FDA local. Are you going to take this?
No, you wanted it removed.
Yeah, I'll jump in.
Okay.
Sure.
Yeah. So I appreciate being able to pull this off of the consent agenda. Obviously, the transition like this is always challenging, right? We get the agendas, I think, on Friday, start digging into all the links, understand what we might need to vote on. And this was kind of the big one that popped up to me. So I had a good call with Tim yesterday. I really appreciate Dr. Harkrider taking time to answer some of my questions. I think that for me, I still have a number of questions about open enrollment that didn't feel clear. So I love the innovation. I love the need to, I think we have a huge need to be creative. We've talked about that. I think that cannot be overstated, that we need to find new ways to create revenue. I think the uncertainty for me comes around just how little clarity we have about what this looks like. So I understand we don't know how many students would be interested, but we're making a lot of assumptions about revenue without really any idea of how many students might come, which feels tricky. And even if it's successful, from what I've heard, several hundred students coming, we know there's going to be costs associated with those students. And the real revenue might be 0.5% of our annual budget. So for me, I'm curious, we make money on it. Let's say we do make money, which would be great. even though we don't know how many kids there might be and we don't know how much revenue we might make, all I've heard is this will make us more money, this will make us more money. And I think my question is, at what cost will it make us more money? And I haven't heard that direct line yet between, with this money, this is how we'll make the lives of students and teachers better. It's just been, this is a revenue source. And if it doesn't, every parent I talk to, I try to reach out to a bunch of my colleagues and friends who had kids in the district and just said, hey, what do you think about this? This is what I know about it. They had a pretty consistent feedback, which was, how does this make my kids' experience better in CSISD? It was kind of their final, the money's fine, it's great to have more money, but at the end of the day, if it represents such a small fraction, I think it would be $50 or $60 per kid. How does that make life better in the district for my kid or for teachers? And I honestly couldn't answer that question. So I wanted to at least pause there and not just vote yes without having that conversation.
Let me clarify one thing first. Number one, there's been no assumptions with any revenue. That's why we need the policy approved now, so we run the application window in December and January. Then we know how many kids would meet the criteria to be accepted. Then at that point in time, we could run revenue projections, staff implications, and have that information by the end of February. I'm not for sure what you're meaning, only $50 to $60 per child. We would get the full basic allotment per child, not $50 or $60. You're talking close to $6,200.
Sure, I'm saying spread across the whole district if you factor in how many kids we have in the entire district.
I guess I'm just not following that.
That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I think you look from a standpoint of how does it benefit a person's child in the district now? If you looked at our presentation, we're running right now at a $2 million deficit budget, close to $3.5 million. Without any new revenue, it's going to impact their education in a negative manner.
Right.
At some point in time. There's no way around it.
Sure.
We're running multiple buildings, 2 for sure, at below 55% capacity. It's not efficient. We have space. We need revenue. That's the idea of the thought process and the plan. I mean, it's straightforward. You know, how it's going to affect us, I don't know. I mean, I don't know how many applications we're going to be. I would guess we would get 200 to 300. We may get 100. 50 may qualify. Taking 50 kids is 50 more than we're going to have come next year. And we may have several hundred. I don't know. I would anticipate year one, probably a couple of hundred. I think once the process goes, those families come here and they're happy. I think in year two, that number potentially would grow and continue to grow. But I don't have a crystal ball. I don't know. I know where we are right now with the state of public education in Texas. We're not going to get any help in the 27 session. Vouchers, anything they can take away from us right now, they're going to. And it's a chance, in my opinion, to be proactive and not reactive when things start crumbling.
Yeah, I think it sounds to me like you're saying it feels like a swing worth taking, even if we're not sure what the results may be.
It's a no-lose situation if we get 100 kids to bring into our school district when we've got room for them. And we're talking, we didn't clarify this, K-6,
right?
Not K-12.
And I think too, used to be that we could all just educate the kids in our district, and the state and federal government were taking care of us, funding us in a good way. And that's not the environment that we're in right now. And I think if we were not in the environment we're in right now, we wouldn't be having this discussion. But I do, when I look at what was presented earlier in workshop, as a board member, I'm looking at how do we do the best we can so that we can keep providing what we're providing right now. I'm not saying that 200 more students in our district is going to make my kids' experience at their high school better, but I'm saying it's going to help us as a district overall be able to keep providing those things that are provided for them. I mean, I can speak as a parent and say that I talk to people and we're dealing with the budget cuts that, Ms. Wilson has had to put in because we have to do it. But we're at a place where we don't have a lot more to cut without taking away programs and stuff. So I think of it more from the perspective of this is a way to keep providing what we are already providing. So just kind of my thoughts on that.
We also don't have really any other options. Like you said, we've cut all we can. How else are we going to generate revenue? Dr. Harkrider, you've worked in other districts that have done this, so this is not something that is just brand new, correct?
Right. I went to work in a district that started it the year before I got there. And then my office ran it for about 6 years. And then we became a fast growth district. And we stopped taking any new out of district transfers. And those that were currently on an out of district transfer were grandfathered in, unless they had a younger sibling that came into school, and we accepted them as well. 100%. Yes. Part of the DOI plan, which jumping ahead, but part of the change on that is currently a transfer is for 1 year regardless. We can amend our local policy where a transfer can be revoked at any point in time during a year for discipline or attendance issues.
And I would also, go ahead.
Sorry. So I completely understand the concept, and you point on is there's no other way to truly generate revenue. And I also understand if enrollment continues to decline, property values are not going to go down. And unfortunately, I have been sitting up here when we had to send local money back to the state due to recapture. So I know that becomes a risk as well with enrollment. So I think, and Chris, you can correct me if I'm wrong, what's difficult for Chris and I is just to take action on this, and we haven't really been involved in previous conversations. So it provides, it's a challenge for us to just try to understand as best as possible how this is going to be framed up. So I completely understand the financial implications. I guess I think what would relieve, because I started getting calls like 2 days ago, and I tried to explain to people a bit, having watched the workshop last month where y'all discussed this. I'm not sure it was discussed previously in detail or not. I wasn't aware of previously, so I tried to articulate the things that I could gather from the workshop, right? So for me, I think if I'm just sure of, or maybe it would help those that ask me the questions or generated just angst. So this will be K through 6 only, which you said several times.
Then advance up as they're with us.
Right. So, and that's something I want to follow up on just a minute. K through 6, and you can apply 3 different markers for determining the approval of the transfer, which would be attendance. And I think you said a marker of 95% in our prior district.
Whatever, yeah, we haven't come up with those metrics yet, but correct. We set a percent for attendance, discipline, and grades.
Okay. So that leads me to my question. So when are the metrics to determine the admissions of these students going to be developed? I think if there were clarity on that, then a lot of our staff would go, okay, well, they're only going to consider these indicators, 95%, I'm just picking numbers as an example, 95% attendance rate, 90 or above in all classes, and no, I think you referenced 0 to 2 referrals. And my assumption would be those are of course, are minor referrals, not significant. So I think if there are some true, it is going to be these things, boom, 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 and these things will get it revoked so that people truly understand the framework of which we'd be considering these students. I wonder if that wouldn't take away some of, or help some that maybe haven't been involved in this conversation or even understand the financial piece of it. It may reassure them of the parameters being established around what you'll be considering, if that makes sense.
Yeah, we had planned on bringing that to you guys in November. The revocation of a transfer cannot be for the grade piece. We can.
Right, it's attendance or discipline.
Those two, correct, yeah. And we could utilize, we've had the internal conversations to see, where we are. I know what we did in our other district. However, I think we could utilize thought exchange to get some feedback from multiple stakeholders to see their impact of what they think. You're going to have some that don't want us to take out of district transfers, that they pay taxes here, and I totally get that. but we didn't invent the game currently that we're having to play right now. You know, the state has created a metric where they want competition in public schools and now private schools. So it's a free for all. And I think we've got to market our district unlike any time we've ever have in the past. But we also have a lot of great metrics to market. And so I think that's what makes us an attractive option for sure. Yeah, we can have those metrics. Now, the policy, just to give you guys, the timeline is imperative for us from a budgeting standpoint. We want our campus principals, when they get back from spring break, to have their allocations and know who they're going to hire when they get back from spring break. So time is of the essence for us. Our plan was to open up the out-of-district transfer window for December and January. So we can bring the metrics to the board of what those are for approval. It would be just pretty much in local. It's actually, I'd have to visit with our attorney. I don't know if we'd have to put that necessarily in a district policy. Probably could just be our administrative regs because those may change for us. But approving the policy for us moving forward is big for a timeline to make sure principals aren't waiting until April and May.
Right, and I think the parameters you use would be just an administrative function.
Yes.
I don't know that
Correct.
you would capture that in the.
I wouldn't in case we needed to tweak it for some reason. Yeah.
Okay.
So what are we actually voting on? What would we be voting to say yes to? That's
Yeah, you're voting to, currently our policy only allows out-of-district transfers for employees' kids only.
okay.
So what you're doing is allowing us to take out-of-district transfers if we decide as a board district that we're doing that. So all we're doing is opening up the window that could happen. That's the change on the policy. The DOI piece that deals with FDA local is just the revoking of a transfer during the school year versus it's just 1 year regardless of what you do.
So,
Go ahead.
I've talked a lot already, go ahead.
Well, I think the order of operation has thrown me off a little bit here. And I'm obviously trying to figure out how things function, but it feels a little backwards to me that we'll vote to approve something, then we'll be told what the parameters are, then we'll ask staff how they feel about the parameter. Like I feel like it would be helpful if we knew what the parameter is. It's immaterial tonight, probably, but it feels like it would be helpful to know what we're actually saying yes to, and how the key stakeholders who will have to execute the plan feel about it, so that I could take that into consideration. Because I feel like I'm sort of flying blindly, which will generally
Changing the policy only makes it able that we can do this. Doesn't say when, doesn't say if. It's open that we can take it.
But
think what might
it's
help
open
is
for interpretation as far as the parameters you use for accepting. So I'm kind of with Chris, if this was packaged together so we had those details, that would.
But I think the advantage, if you saw the last couple of meetings, I don't know if you watched online, but it was talked about at length, but the advantage is trying to innovate because we don't know how many we'll get, and then we can decide the parameters based on those who apply. So if we want to adjust to decide who gets to play the game or not, we get to set the rules. So once you have the applications, then you can decide, okay, based on what the applicants we're looking at, who we want to bring, who we want to allow to come in, then we set the parameters based on who we think would benefit us. So I understand what you guys are saying, but I think what we're looking at is we want to be able to give them the opportunity, and then we can set the parameters, say, all right, we want to set the bar here. Everybody above the bar gets to come in. Everybody below the bar doesn't get to come in.
So tell me what the bar is.
Right. We don't know. Right. Kind of what they're saying. We haven't set it yet because we don't know what the applicants look like.
But if you get 100 of these and 75 of them have a 70 or below in another district and they're coming here, you're going to adjust the metrics so you can get as many kids as possible. That's not the way. That's not how this should be driven.
Well, and I don't think that's how it will be driven. I do think right now, to answer your question, we have to change the policy to allow the district to even move forward with setting some of this stuff and doing some of it. Because right now, the policy says they can't. So the order of operations is for us as a board to change that policy and let them have permission to do that. Doesn't mean you can't later have some discussion about it. It's going to be up to Dr. Harkrider and his team to make sure that they're setting parameters in a way that makes sense for our district and it isn't about a number. It isn't about, hey, we just want to take the top 50 kids or whatever. It's about making sure that those are the kids that are going to do well in the environment that we are going to put them in. So a little bit to answer your question is we have to give them permission to be able to move forward with all of that.
Sure. And once that permission's given, though, just so I'm clear, it won't be a vote then if we accept the parameters. It's then out of our hands, and whatever happens, whatever's executed is executed, and we'll just live with the results. Is that right?
Well, technically on administrative regulations doesn't require a board.
That's what I'm.
However,
Yeah.
we would bring it to the board in a workshop to get consensus, and prior to that, everybody's good moving forward with what the parameters are.
Okay.
I mean, I can tell you just off the top of my head, grade-wise would be 85 up, with nothing below an 85. Attendance would be at least 90 and above, and 3 or less referrals with no major infractions. I mean, that's just spitballing right,
Sure.
and that metric in my mind would not be moved.
Yeah.
Regardless of the number.
And I think that's why some of us that have been on the board and been a part of that discussion last month maybe are a little more comfortable because we've heard some of those things and have just a different comfort level with it.
But just to be clear too, we don't have a number in mind of transfers that we want to take.
Right.
We're not going to just take
don't.
kids to take kids. We have been discussing this longer than a month. It's come up several times. The idea has been out there. Yeah, I feel like we have to allow this step so that the process can go. And at no point are we married to anything. I don't feel like I said, we're not going to just take kids to just fill our coffers. That's not how we operate in this district. This administration has never operated that way. So I think we have to let them do their jobs here.
I motion to approve as presented.
Second.
I did want to, go ahead and you say.
You can have a discussion, yes.
I have a motion in a second. I just want to add, I mean, I said some of this in the workshop. I mean, I think this is something, in my opinion, we should give it a try, right? Because it is a tough situation for us and the state right now for public schools. And it is an opportunity to draw some kids to our district, and I think we will draw some. I am also, want us to be careful not only about setting these parameters, which I firmly believe need to be set up front, because, I mean, we need to know and agree, we being you and your administration agree, what are those parameters that need to be set, and because it's not about hitting the number, it's about getting the right kids here. But I've said before too, I would rather bring in, and if we had hundreds and hundreds of these applications, I'd still probably rather limit how many came in, because I think there are a lot of unknowns about what it will look like in our district. Students, some of them will bring in more than the basic allotment, right? Because they have their weighted funding, and it's hard to know what that'll look like, and how are we able to get all the teachers in time to support new students. But I think it's worth experimenting with, or trying, because I really think it's an opportunity. And I add one more thing after hearing the presentation about Thought Exchange. I would expect in a year from now, we could be using Thought Exchange to be capturing some of that feedback on what folks in our district think on how it's going. So that's what I would hope to see.
So I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Simmons. All in favor, say aye. All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion passes 5-2.
I'll send an email to everyone when we get back from Thanksgiving break for you to send me what you feel like the parameters should be, and then I'll gather that information and share it with you guys. And then we will get together as a team and bring the parameters to the board in a workshop in December.
Okay, that's going to bring us back to item J2, which is consideration, discussion, and possible approval of recommended amendments to the District of Innovation Plan.
Just a process question. because this policy is passed, that I absolutely believe that there needs to be an amendment that allows administration to revoke, if necessary, less than a year. So I absolutely agree with the recommended adjustment to the plan. The process question I have is, it may be here in the attached documents, I couldn't find it. My understanding to make an amendment to your DOI plan requires majority vote by DEIC prior to the board considering. I could be mistaken, or an advisory committee.
DOI committee.
DOI,
Correct.
and that's a
That's
comparable.
my cabinet.
But Commissioner's rule says a comparable committee, and your cabinet is not comparable to DIC.
Our
or
attorney
district
said
level advisor.
that would work when we contacted her.
So we just run it through the cabinet as opposed to making sure parents and teachers and those that typically serve on DEIC or a district level committee are able to be knowledgeable of and take action on it.
Well, it's the board's job to accept the changes in the DOI amendments. And so our job is to take the considerations to the board for approval. And these were approvals and conversations that we've had months ago. So they've taken place in board workshops multiple times. And so the cabinet ran through the DOI amendments.
Okay, well, I don't, so council told you that was acceptable because that's really not what articulated on through the agency.
I'm just telling you what council told me.
I'm just telling you what's articulated on the agency.
So we as a board have to choose to move on this or not. Do I have a motion?
Motion approved is presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Simmons. All
I
in
do
favor?
have, I'm going to vote against it, not because I don't think they should be able to revoke, but I don't think that procedure was managed appropriately for the amendment. And I fear that if we're challenging on this in an appeals process and it goes to the agency, we'll lose. So I just want to make record of why I'm voting against it.
All in favor, say aye. Aye. All opposed?
Aye.
I'm abstaining because this is way above my current board of trustee pay grade, so.
All right, that motion passes then 5-1. And that is going to bring us to item K1, which is consideration, discussion, and possible action regarding the annual financial and compliance report for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. Ms. Wilson?
Good morning, good afternoon, Ms. Iggy. Dr. Harkrider, Board of Trustees. Tonight, I have Rebecca Darling. She is with Weaver, and they prepare our annual financial statement. The little thing different about this year, it's based on a 10-month statement, but she's going to present it.
Thank you. Good evening. As you said, my name is Rebecca Darling. I am with Weaver, which is the district's external auditor. So I'm here to present the basically the audit results for the fiscal year ending June 30th, 2025. So I think you all have this is really the product, if you will, of the audit. It's a large annual financial report. It's over 100 pages. I will not go over all pages. I have a very summarized, just focusing on the audit results itself and just a couple of budget highlights. Oops. Let's see. Did I press here? Let's see. Sorry. Is it that? Okay. I do know how to operate this. Okay. So for those of you that had the large document, I've pointed out some page numbers, but basically if you take nothing else away from this short presentation, the district did get an unmodified opinion, or that is basically a clean opinion. That's the highest level of assurance you can get on the financial statements. So that opinion is actually in the on page 3 of the annual financial report. Because the district does receive federal and state funding, there is also a government auditing standards opinion as well, which means we just have to go a little bit deeper. We look at compliance and controls and things like that. So there's another opinion in the back as well. That is a clean opinion as well. There's also a third opinion in the annual financial reports. It's on page 101. It's actually the opinion that is over your federal state grant dollars. That's actually in draft form right now because of the nice government shutdown. The federal government has not issued their final, what we call uniform guidance, which is what we have to have as our kind of our audit guide to issue audit opinions for federal funding. And so we've done that work. We don't expect the opinion to change in any way because the district gets a lot of the same funding, child nutrition, Title I, things like that. The work is done. We just have to technically wait on issuing that opinion in final form until we get that federal guidance. So hopefully within the next 60 to 90 days. But the major program that we tested this year for the federal funding was the child nutrition cluster, which basically has your school lunch and breakfast programs. So for that type of audit, we do compliance and controls. We look at specifically what the federal government gives the district in terms of guidelines of how those monies have to be spent. And so that's a different kind of audit, but it is part of the annual financial audit. And in the back, there's a schedule of findings and question costs. And right now, there are no findings in that. So that's where you want to be. Just some required communications. I know this is small in regards to the audit itself. Our responsibility in relation to the financial statement audit is to form and express an opinion on the financial statements. Like I said, we did get an unmodified opinion. We cannot look at every single transaction for the 10-month period that we audited. Trust me, finance does not want us to do that. So we do base it on materiality and risk assessment. We are required to be independent of the district, so we go through that process every year, just making sure that myself and my team don't have any relationships with the board members or anything that might, in fact, our appearance give us the appearance that we're not independent of the district. Significant risks identified during the planning phase of the audit. It is required that we do a risk assessment, so these are not red flags by any means. It's just part of our due diligence. Some of the things that we look at are what we call management override of controls. So even if a district has really good policies and procedures in place in terms of approval of expenditures and segregation of duties, there's always going to be individuals in finance that can go in and change numbers and make journal entries. So we always look at those processes, those journal entries made at year end and month end, and just make sure that the people that are going in and booking those numbers manually and making those changes are authorized to do so, that there's proper approvals for those. We also look at revenue recognition, so we want to make sure that the tax dollars, we vouch those and we confirm those. We look a lot at the state funding dollars and make sure that, particularly like the state funding is finalized per the TEA standards. We make sure that those numbers have been trued up, that any payables or receivables are booked. And of course, we look at a lot of the grant dollars as well, so the federal and the state grant dollars. And then we look at, the expenditures going out the door. We take samples and we look at just to make sure that there is proper approvals and authorization of expenditures in the different departments and things like that. So basically, we didn't have any material misstatements or internal control findings in any of those areas, and that's just kind of a little preview of some of the areas that we look at. In terms of the qualitative aspects of the significant accounting policies, there was a new, what we call government accounting standards issued this year. It was regarding compensated absences. So it does require entities to look at their compensated absences, so their accrued vacation and sick leave for their employees, and book liabilities for that. So that did add a liability to the financial statements this year, or up to the liability. That's on the government-wide statements. That's only, so that liability it's not something that the district budgets for. It's on the government-wide statements that has like the long-term assets and the long-term liabilities. Under that qualitative aspects of accounting policies, we do talk about estimates as well. So there's always going to be estimates on the financial statements. I noted before, we do look at the foundation school program revenue because we want to make sure that that revenue that's booked for the year is the final number that was agreed upon. And so any receivables or payables based on what's been received at year end is booked. We do look at also at the what we call the incurred but not reported accrual for workers' compensation. So when the district has that program, there's always going to be claims out there that have incurred but not necessarily reported. So that number actually comes from a third-party actuary. So there's not a lot of management judgment involved in that. And similarly, at a government-wide level, the district's required to report their portion of the net pension and OPEB liabilities, which is so those actually also come from actuarial valuations. So while those are large numbers and they do fluctuate from year to year, they come from third-party reports. So there's not a lot of management judgment involved in those either. And then just mentioning the compensated absences liability that was added this year, there is some judgment involved in that because you have to estimate based on historical knowledge how much sick leave and vacation time people are going to take. The disclosures, really the footnotes in the financial statements are very similar to last year and what the district is used to seeing, so nothing really new noted there. In terms of this slide, you see a lot of none noted. That's really where you want to be. We didn't have any significant difficulties encountered during the audit. In terms of uncorrected and corrected misstatements, that's really a big one. I was telling the audit committee earlier today, it's really nice when you can go in and do the audit and not have to make a lot of adjustments. So we came in and management had booked the accruals that they needed to. We didn't have to come in and say, hey, you need to correct this, or this is materially misstated, you need to book this. So when we're not doing that, it does make the audit go a lot quicker. We can audit the numbers and get in and out. Not that it's a quick process, it's a lengthy audit process, but there were no material adjustments that we had to make for the numbers that you see. So that's really important to know. Notice agreements with management. We do ask management to sign what's called a management representation letter. It's just them taking responsibility for the numbers that they've provided us, that they've provided us with true and factual documents, that they haven't withheld information, that type of thing. No other management consultations with other accountants, no other significant issues. There is other information, we call it other information because it's optional, but the schedule of required responses to selected school first indicators, which is one of the schedules that TA requires, that is actually included in the annual financial report as well. So we do look at those answers and make sure we agree with those as well. And then here are just a couple of just financial highlights. As Heather said, one of the things different this year is because the district changed the fiscal year end from 8/31 to 6/30, this audit actually just covers a 10-month period, so from September through June 30th. So it's a little different and less, 10 months versus 12 months of activity. So here's just a highlight of the general fund. Again, it's on page 24 of your annual financial report, but you can see your state dollars, your state program revenues, and your federal dollars, and then your expenditures. Of course, most of that going to instructional and instructional related services, which are your classroom teachers. So you have the excess of revenues over expenditures there, and then you have some other financial sources and uses, refunds to taxpayers, leases. There's some extraordinary gain and losses just having to do with some insurance payments and recoveries. And so then you can see the change in fund balance for your general fund for the 10-month period was a positive $14.2 million. So just some general fund highlights. It is required to present the general fund original budget, amended budget, and budget to actual. So that is in the back of the report as well. I think it's on page 68 or so. But some of the key things, just to point out, general fund, the unassigned balance. So it's the balance of the general fund that's not committed or assigned to anything else. The unassigned fund balance represented about 40% of total general fund expenditures this year. There was an increase of about $14.3 million in fund balance during the period, which is primarily the result of the change in fiscal year end because really there wasn't as much operating expenditures in a 10-month versus a 12-month, whereas the revenue was pretty flat, but you have 10-month versus 12-month of expenditures. So it does look good, and it was a $14.3 million increase in the general fund this year based on that time period audited. Variations between the original budget and final amended budget. There was a decrease in local and intermediate revenues of $3.1 million and an increase in state aid of $2 million. Again, looking at the original versus final budget. And then the budget appropriations or expenditures were decreased by about 11.6 because that original budget was looking at a 12-month period, and then it was adjusted to a 10-month period. And then there's approximately an $11.3 million variance between the amended budget and the actual expenditures. And that really comes back to the fact that there's only 10 months of expenditures this year. So the budget to actuals this year are a little wonky, if you will, because you're looking at a 10-month period. So next year you'll be back on that 12-month period. But just some highlights there. Just real quick, some of the other what we call major funds that are required to be presented are your debt service fund and your capital projects fund. So these are on page 24 of the annual financial report. The debt service fund, you can see the local, the tax dollars there. You have 10 months of debt service. And then you can see the refunding of the bonds under other financial sources and uses. So this fund had a net change of about $33 million positive. And then the capital projects fund, you can see as well, the main what stands out there is you have about $40 million of capital outlay, and then you have the issuance of the bonds this year to increase that fund balance about $112 million. Okay, so that's my required presentation. I'm happy to answer any questions. Before I do forget, I do want to thank the finance team and Chris and Heather and their team. We come in the summer and then before the numbers are closed, and we do a lot of samples and questions, and then we come back and for another couple weeks period, and we do ask them to pull a lot of information and ask a lot of questions that's on top of their regular job. So we always appreciate having a warm welcome and everybody getting us the information timely. So really appreciate that.
Are there any questions?
I move to approve the annual financial and compliance report for the fiscal year ended June 30, 2025.
Second.
All right, I have a motion by Ms. Simmons and a second by Mr. Martindale. All in favor say, do we have a discussion?
Nope. Just a thank you. I just think I'm used to the motion second and any further comment. Obviously, a lot of work from our team to do all this, so it's always great to have that unmodified, clean report. So thanks to our team.
No worries. All in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? That motion passes 7-0.
And I do want to make a shout out real quick because Chris Neely and his team do a lot of work on this, and they do an amazing job. And one thing that she did mention was a single audit. And when you have a single audit, it's a deep dive into a program. And Bridget Goodlett, she had a single audit this year with our audit, and she also got TDA audit. And so big shout out to them, yeah, because that's a lot of work. So thank you.
All right, next up is item K2, which is to consider nomination of representatives to the Brazos Central Appraisal District Board through resolution to begin January 1st, 2026.
Sure. Back in the legislation session of the 88th legislative session, Senate Bill 2, or the second special session, they changed how we could do that. And so what we do now is we do one board meeting where we nominate it up to 2 members for the appraisal board. And then what they'll do is they'll allot so many votes. And then what we'll come back to in December is after everybody's nominated from all the taxing entities, we'll take our votes and then we can cast them on the nominees that we would choose. So we're looking for nominees for the appraisal board, if anybody has any.
I'd like to nominate Brian McGuire.
Okay. Brian McGuire.
So we'll say that to board members that this is a big time commitment. So we're open to hear any nominations that you have, keeping in mind that hopefully you've spoken to these people about the fact that you're going to nominate them.
Awesome. So if there's no other discussion, it's the recommendation that the Board of Trustees of College Station ISD approve the resolution to nominate Brian McGuire for a director position to run for the appraisal board.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Wilson. Is there any further discussion? Okay, all in favor, say aye. Any opposed? Okay, that motion is going to pass 7-0. All right, and that's going to move us to item L1, which is consider approval of the construction project delivery method for district-wide mechanical, electrical, plumbing projects. Mr. Buckner.
Okay, I hope to be quick for the last agenda item. Like I mentioned in board workshop, construction delivery methods approved by local policy are competitive sale proposal and job order contracting. This one being a MEP with mechanical, electrical, and plumbing, it is a little more difficult, especially on the consultant side, to design this project and get fair bids without inflated prices from contractors, because there's a lot of unknowns. Once you get in the walls and once you get above ceiling, that where ductwork goes, where chilled water lines go, electrical lines, the whole bit. So I have done design build a couple of times. It works very well for MEP type projects where you have those unknowns. One of the benefits, or a couple of the benefits of design build, is one of them is the designer also serves as a general contractor. So there are no fingers pointing at another entity as the plans are wrong, so now there's a change order or anything else. There are no change orders in this because they point back to themselves because they did the plans wrong. Which kind of goes into both. It serves, and there's no change orders with it. So this project would consist of finishing out the district with LED lighting, which is more energy efficient to help lower some of our energy costs. This will also, one of the big factors of this, which all kind of started it, was adding mini splits, HVAC units into our MDF and IDF rooms to keep those at a constant temperature for our servers versus having to run a portion of the building to operate in those MDF, IDF rooms, so we don't have to incur as many costs there, as well as aged out HVAC systems. We have air handlers in buildings that are, some of them are 30 plus years old and it's time for replacement. So we're looking at those in that 20, 25 year and older range of where that would be. But of course, this project would go through a process to select a contractor designer. It is a two-step process, so it is kind of lengthy of an RFQ as well as an RFP on their pricing. But then we would get into the design phase and make tweaks from there of what this project would consist of. In the past, this project has worked for me as always being after-hours holiday work. So when everybody is leaving the building, they are entering the building, and when they are entering the building, the contractors are leaving. And the goal is for them not to even, the principals to not even know that the contractor was there overnight. So this would allow us to start getting the process rolling with getting a proposal set up and put out for RFQ and for bid. And it would be utilizing 2021 and 2023 bond funds for this project.
Do we have any questions for Mr. Buckner?
I guess the only one is that I was a little surprised to see that there was still some 2020, something would come from a 2021 bond. Are we, I thought the last time we had said that was the last thing coming off of that.
There was some money allocated for like LED lighting.
It was
and
already
stuff in that
allocated.
one, and that would deplete it all, correct.
Okay.
Motion to approve is presented.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Mr. Martindale. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye. Any opposed? All right, that motion is going to pass 7-0.
Thank you.
And that's going to move us to item M1. The board will meet in executive session to discuss qualifications of new executive board nominees. The executive session deliberations will be held pursuant to the Personnel Matters Closed Meeting exception to the Texas Open Meetings Act as set forth in Section 551.074 of the Texas Government Code. We will go into executive session and we will return when we are done. Okay, the time is 9:56. We're coming back to open session. Do I have a motion for president and vice president?
I make a motion that Kim Egy be president and Heather Simmon be vice president.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Mr. Martindale, a second by Dr. Payne. Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion passes 7-0. For the position of secretary, we have two nominations. One is Ms. Wilson, the other is Ms. McAdams. So I'm going to ask for, by a show of hands, who would like to vote for Ms. Wilson? Okay, who would like to vote for Ms. McAdams? Okay, so Ms. Wilson has the votes 4-3. May I have a motion?
A motion that Heather Wilson be nominated as secretary. Kristen Wilson. Why do we, all night we've been doing that. Kristen Wilson be nominated as secretary.
Second.
Okay, I have a motion by Dr. Payne and a second by Ms. Simmon. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, just for procedurally here, I'm gonna make sure that I saw everybody clearly. All in favor, please raise your hand and say aye. All opposed? Okay, that motion passes 5-2. Thank you, guys, and that's gonna move us to adjourn.